Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Terry, holding your space, and this is Diana Bowles.
Hi, how are you?
Um, Diana is also oil painter. So, yeah, and welcome. Um, so, we are here talking about the universal laws and truths. And today is the law of polarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the astrological sign we can apply to this is Sagittarius.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yep, because if we just look at his sigil, we see right off the bat, it's just a long pole with a point on the end, right?
Yeah.
And what is the opposite of that? Where does the opposite of that begin?
Would be the invert.
Well, if we have polarity, we have an opposite, right?
Yeah.
But the opposite doesn't begin, right? It just has to wait for that end to stop. So now it's at a point. And then you turn left instead of right, or you go up instead of down. So it's if we think of hot and cold, temperature is on the same pole.
Hmm.
It
Oh.
does, it isn't
Mhm.
it isn't cold. Where does something start and where does something begin? When they're on the same pole.
Right.
So that is the non, what's the word I'm looking for? I wrote it down because I knew I would forget it. It is without absolute, right?
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody. I want to say hi to a few people.
Yeah, right. We just got here.
Hey, Rossi. Hi, Leah. Hi, Lori. Oh, Pisces Greeter. Hi, TK. How are you? Beautiful. Yeah, it's so nice to see everybody. So, hi, Julie. I feel like no judgment in the middle. I love that, Leah. Yeah,
Oh, I like
exactly.
it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprise, here we are again. All right. It's fun, isn't it? It's like I've got
Yeah.
friends to play with all every afternoon.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, no absolute sounds like it has a flow, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Right, Lori? Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah, it's just it's interesting because knowing something, like knowing happiness, if we don't know sadness, um, we don't know happiness, right? How
Right.
can we ever know that we have that? And I kind of feel like so many of us here have been through traumas in our life. And because of that, when we see other traumas coming, we can still know happiness with awareness because we've been through this situation before. And yes, it can be triggering, but seeing all the chaos on the planet right now with the wars and politics and big pharma and stuff like that, we still see light, you know, we still see divinity. And so it's I love that, the polarity of that.
Right. Because out
Yeah.
of the darkness comes the light.
Yep.
And you're so very good at lighting that. Getting that.
Ditto.
So yeah, there's a balance, but everything has a pair, and some things you can't have a teacher without a student.
Right.
You're just retired.
Vacation.
Right.
But you can't have vacation without a job. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different polarities, aren't there?
Yes, there are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's a continuum, right? That's another word we should think about when we're doing this, because everything is a continuum till you stop marking a point and turn. Whether it's, quarterly or south and west, you're still creating an area in which there's going to be a stop and start and a stop and start.
Yeah. In this world. and
Mm-hmm.
3D.
Mm-hmm. In
And
three.
I feel like a lot of these universal laws and truths are gonna change as we get to 5D. I like what you say about this, Leah. It's perspective that doesn't know time. Yeah.
And it is changing. We can feel it. I mean, as we have gone through this list, it's made itself evident by being self-evident. Right?
Ta-da.
What goes up must come down. Newton
Yeah.
proved that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all on the same pole, the yin and yang, but it is focusing. It is staying focused on the negative or the positive, because we can stay in that area of negative talk, negative emotions, without stepping into the other side of that, the opposite of that, the other shoe that says, ooh, these are comfortable. I'm happy here. Right foot, left foot.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Stay inside instead of going outside or um and I feel like um sometimes we forget to have fun, to let our inner child come out and play and or for me anyway. Sometimes I'm so busy in the woo-woo world or whatever else I'm doing and um, you kind of forget that it's time to go listen to music or go dance or walk or whatever. Sing. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen Diana's the video that you made when you were singing in the forest while you were
Oh,
walking on your trail with your dogs.
yeah.
But I was like,
Annie posted that. That was really nice of her. I really am glad she did that. In fact,
um,
there's two different songs, and one of them is they're both Lakota, and one of them is called the Shoe Sharing Song,
mhm,
and it is you. It's what you're supposed to sing as you hand the warrior or the traveler the gifts as they're going on, even if they're going off to the happy hunting ground. So it's the one of the two songs that's the slower.
yeah. Hmm. I didn't know if that was something that was light language or what it was at first.
And doesn't it sound what
100%.
we get as light language?
Yeah. Yeah, it
So,
totally does.
yeah. So you give moccasins, you give a buffalo robe, you give extra arrowheads, you give things of that nature to whomever's going off, and you sing the verse or the chorus rather as you just hand these items over.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Um, so I was kinda looking at it, and I got a little quote here. It's anonymous. "We cannot experience happiness without knowing the idea of sadness to be successful or to feel successful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we must have a sense of failure."
Yeah, definitely. It's it's the stress that goes with, will I make the deadline? Will I reach the end of this? Will I survive this? Will I get the money for this? And the joy of reaching the goal itself. But at some point, there's a turning where you start putting out that different language, which brings us back to the law of manifestation. Because if we stay in that place of sending that negative verbiage out there and sending those negative emotions out there, what are we going to get? More of the same. People are going to walk away from what we're trying to sell or what we're creating, and even if we're giving it away, they don't want it, kind of thing like that.
Well,
So,
yeah, and if you don't charge, you know,
right.
giving and
So
receiving, yeah, another
in
polarity.
part is it's part of the detachment from the material world, but detachment from the thing, the it, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing involved if we're detached completely from it. What do we attach? Do we attach to the outcome? Do we attach to the present situation? Are we attached to what we are experiencing in the moment, and not even trying to make a change to improve situation? I mean, there's such a swill in this cauldron. And how do you isolate things that have been brewing for a long time? The flavors have all melded together, right? So how do we get a turning point? You got to empty the cauldron, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sift out the seeds.
Yeah. I love that, Julie. How would we know light without knowing the darker times?
Exactly.
Yeah. And, I know that we come down here with contracts, right? I mean, that's something that's kind of just out there. You write your contract and you figure out what you want to do in this lifetime, what you want to observe, and what you want to experience. And so you want to experience both sides of it, obviously. So
Well, yeah, we do, right? Because we incorporate it before we get here.
yeah. Yeah, we sure do. So, so it's quite interesting to see that, and I feel like, that's all a part of, bringing us to non-duality and just pure consciousness. Because once we get to that, we can see all sides. Like, you're not looking ahead, you're not looking behind, you're not looking at good or bad, you're not, looking at time. You're just here.
Yeah, it's the radius of your vision. It's
Mhm.
the peripheral that's always in sight. It's one of the things you learn on a motorcycle. Seriously, when you are driving, not when you're the passenger, because there's
Nope.
that big head in front of you. But when you are driving your own motorcycle, you you know you're used to a car. You have a driver's license, so you had to get it somehow. You're looking through this little window, and
Yeah.
you turn your head to see out the side windows. When you're on a motorcycle, it's all wide open, and you get this expansive view of everything where you can see things coming far off. It's like it's I was just working on somebody's chart, and this is part of an aha moment I had, realizing, oh, this is the last quarter moon that this girl was born under. And I had never put that together before. And I suddenly did, through the points of Black Moon Lilith and White Moon Lilith, which is really Selene. Anyway, I'm looking at it going, oh, because from this perspective, where we're sitting at the point of the whitest part of the moon facing Earth, you're looking at that. Oh, you can see the curve at night
Mhm.
on the moon. Even though it's still dark, you can see where that is. So you can anticipate what's around that corner. So when you're on a motorcycle and you have this big expanse, you see these things coming in through your side vision.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Leah has a question for you, if I can get it up there. I don't know why
Let's
I'm having
do.
a hard time. Have you read a kite pattern for clients, Diana?
Sure. Yes. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
So, what a kite is a grand trine with a top that also has a release point that is completely opposite the point at the tail.
Wow.
So that's how a kite is created. Like, we have this eclipse coming up in April that I mentioned last night. And it is a huge top of a kite. And all the planets are piled in this top of the kite between Pluto and I still can't remember what's over here. But it's between, so it must be Jupiter because it's in Taurus. So it's between Pluto and Taurus. And that's a trine going on at that top of the kite because it's the balance point for a grand trine that's underneath it.
Yeah.
And so where your release point is, if you think about flying a kite, that top will flip like this, and we put a tail on it to help us control it while it's up there. But that top is the release point of the wind that's keeping the kite up there. It's not really straight up and down. The optical illusion is that it's straight up and down. It's connected to our string, and our string is in play by the wind.
Wow.
They're not that rare. I see them in a lot of charts, and I think they're good. You know what? There are aspects that make you stand up and take notice, but is that a bad thing? We have our own. So I said Sagittarius, but we live with the non-duality of duality in our north and south nodes every day in our charts.
Yeah.
Because they are exactly opposite each other. But where does one begin and the other end? And you can't have one without the other. So an opposition to me is nothing but a paradox. And what is a paradox? You have to have that to have a miracle. So where do you accept the way going forward, and where do you let go of the things that no longer serve your purpose?
Yeah.
That becomes a chore sometimes. It's hard to do. Hi, Amy. My top is sun or moon. Because you have a kite in your chart, Leah, I'm assuming. Well, I have, mine is Pisces bottom. So you have a Pisces sun and a Virgo moon. They're opposite each other. And then if you have a grand trine in water, I'm assuming, since I'm thinking the Pisces is bottom or the Virgo is bottom. You either have a grand trine in earth or water.
It's water.
Okay, the water trine. And then at the top, you have two sextiles, which are half trines. And then you have the trine of that trine. And the sextile is going to be the earth sign that supports it.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Because it's going to be opposite water on the other side. And that brings us back to the opposition, which I always see as your choice. Do you work with yourself or do you fight yourself? It's up to you. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, especially when we first start hitting these opportunities of growth,
Mm-hmm.
the FGOs. And
Right.
then you're kind of like, it's easy to wallow and it's easy to grieve because God knows we need to and get it out. But yeah, that's an experience that you wouldn't know.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So grand trines, a lot of people think, oh, I'm so lazy. No, a grand trine is the stuff that comes to you easily. You don't have to work hard for this, right? So it's like, it gives you permission to multitask, because this is your second nature to do this one. So you can do this one without thinking while you're changing the diaper, feeding the baby, and, doing all that other stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's the mastery that you're born with. It's like having a yod as well. A yod is 50 degrees apart at the bottom and 180 degrees to the top. That's the finger of God. It involves two quincunxes that come to a point at a measured planet.
Wow.
Well, I have two of them, and they end up being on my Venus points as well. So I fell into being a school teacher, but it's Venus in the ninth house. Of course I should have been a school teacher, because the ninth house belongs to Sagittarius, and I'm a Gemini with my sun in the ninth house. And Venus is there, and Mercury is there, and blah, blah, blah. So, and then where my other finger of God points is to the opposite of that, with Jupiter in Aquarius. in the fourth house of little children. And I taught kindergartner. And I fell into the job because of my lucky Jupiter.
Wow. Yeah, we were just talking earlier, before we came out about how fun it would have been to have had Diana as our, kindergarten teacher for
I
early
want
childhood,
to.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't easy back then, man.
No.
We had a lot of constructs, and it's funny how the constructs keep changing, right? I was listening to an, um, I can't remember if it was NPR or what it was, but it was um, something about the way kids learn and how we're changing that, and how grading is a horrible thing. It creates so much anxiety. I mean, I don't know what they do instead, but um, that's a new thing, and it's obvious. And any of us that had learning disabilities, and a lot of us did growing up, or ADD or something, right? That didn't, yeah, we were different, little different, little
The
different.
nuns would say to my mom, "You must be a saint." No, not by my standards. Just kidding, Ma. Just kidding. Don't be throwing no lightning bolts.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's quite interesting. I mean, they're cleaning it up, but there's still a long ways to go, I think.
Yeah.
And God bless everybody that does decide to teach.
And
We need teachers.
having been one and retired and dealing with the littles is where it all begins to begin with, right? And the thing is classrooms need to be smaller, and everyone needs to be taught as if they're gifted and talented, because they are.
Yeah.
They are. And learning math might be a sidebar to where the kid's talent really lies. Because as important as language and English and punctuation and all of that business is, even that isn't taught right. When was the last time somebody was taught how to diagram a sentence?
Yeah.
My kids didn't do that. And my kid's 40 years old. My baby is 40 years old. The other one's older than that. So if they didn't diagram a sentence, when did that change? What is a dangling participle? I still haven't figured that one out.
Oh my
Just
god.
calculus.
I still remember my favorite one was confunction junction. What's your function?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Right.
Sesame Street got it right, didn't they?
And Leah, isn't this the truth?
Mm.
It is in the deconstruction that I have discovered what the construction is.
Yeah.
Now, is that because my sun and moon are opposite? I was born under a full moon. So I have this big light, but I have to do everything on this pole, between the two. And then I have my south node and north node in Aries and Libra. Of course, that's opposite. But my rising sign is Libra. So now I've got this great big beautiful, I don't know what to call it, kite. Hello.
I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah, little gems need to be polished and shined. I love that, Julie.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah. Holla. Grammar is becoming a lost art, isn't it?
It is.
And Wiki, it's all changing because they don't even need to anymore. They
We need
just
to have, her name is Sheree. What's her? The gal who was on with you from Ireland, who
Oh, Shara.
hopefully in February you will meet. She needs to come on and give us all grammar lessons, because I love the way she speaks. I try to speak like that. I think I mentioned that before, and people just go, shorthand, please. No, you listen.
Well, I gotta say, she really cleaned up her act to be on with us, because it's usually a little saltier.
Well, yeah, the Fokinaise, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. I think when we were first together, she asked me to do something weird, and I flipped her the bird. She goes, "Oh, we're gonna get it on fine." So, yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna
So
get
it
there.
also takes focus, right? Because every changing object has these two sides. If you can roll a rock over, it's got another side,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, it does. Yeah, Leah says you're a medicine woman. She totally is. Warrior Girl says, when they moved their, kid's 4th grade teacher had them all meditate before she even did roll call. And that's so important, that meditation, whether it's, tai chi or anything to center
Oh,
yourself in
we
the
would do
morning.
yoga in circle before show and tell.
Yeah.
Definitely. The kids would be oming.
Oh, that's so sweet, Warrior Girl. She had them personally brought them little roll-up
Oh,
doohickeys so they could be comfy in Buddha pose.
that's so cool.
That
I
is
had a
so
carpet,
sweet.
but yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, pronouns and such too. That's all going away. Yeah, texting has changed a lot, but, don't you think it's kinda leading us to telepathy?
Well, in some ways, yes, because sometimes can't you hear the voice of those the way it's you could feel that the kid was whomever on there was beating those uh,
Yeah,
buttons into making the words.
yeah. It really d it's gonna be interesting how this turns out, yeah. If the power ever goes out, we will have many that'll really be lost. Yeah.
But then there's us with our little lights.
So, okay, I got a hit a
Okay.
while back. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to Dr. Gale about it, because she was saying about, she travels at night. She drives a spaceship. She
Yep,
does a lot of other stuff,
she
but
does.
yeah, she's amazing, amazing. So we were talking about something, and somebody had followed her one night, and we talked about, what was going on, blah, blah, blah. I think that we are currently being investigated in a weird way that, they're kind of watching YouTube, they're watching the shows. They might be remote viewing us because, yeah, if the power does go out, who's gonna pick up the ball? Y'all are. We all are.
We are. It's our job.
Yeah,
And that just if you're a chatter here, you're part of this.
yeah.
Because just whether you have a channel or not, or a channel that does some streaming or not, is not the point. You
You're
wouldn't be
gifted.
listening to this if you weren't already there. Hello.
And look who shows up at this.
Yay.
Carolyn. So, hi, Carolyn. Hi, Peter. Yeah. So I really feel like, um, people are investigating us because I feel like it is gonna be something that, will be needed. And they're trying to see how we can do this partly because of galactics as they come in and they want to be able to talk to them. But, I mean, I think they're already using it. We know they're using it on each other, right? And big business is using it probably too. Why wouldn't they? They'd be silly not to.
Yeah.
But, but, but I wonder how many offers we're all gonna have.
Well, the other thing, if we go back in history, kings won wars and planned wars and battles based on the astrology of the day.
Yeah.
And the universe stopped at Saturn. I mean, they didn't have the knowledge of all of the asteroids and the guidance of all of that. They couldn't see past Saturn, so no other planets existed. But they believed in the extrasensory perception. They all lived by that. It wasn't until that confounded church business came along that it was suddenly, oh, you can't have that. You can't have that. While the Pope is still using it.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. And they
I
have
want to
everything in the
get in
vault.
that vault.
I know. That's what my mom always said. I do too. Lori says, I sometimes wonder if all the technology taken the place of telepathy. Seems like we did that more when I was younger. Just knew what someone else was thinking. You know, it has risen the bar of anxiety, I know. Social media,
Hmm.
with young adults and kids.
Hmm.
And yeah, so something has to happen there for sure, Lori, because it is hard. Yeah.
Especially on youth. We're old, we're seasoned, and we've been brought up differently. We come from a different era where this was just not available. I remember that first transistor radio. I remember no tape recorders. I remember a wire recorder. That's how we recorded. It was on a wire.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mom had until the wire broke and the machine was, and it was a big piece of furniture because it was a radio as well. But I'm having a conversation with my mom, and she's pregnant with my younger brother, and she's smoking a cigarette, and I'm going, well, how's Santa Claus going to find us, right? And there's this little 4-year-old voice that I still hear in my head because of that tape and because I was able to hear 4-year-old Diana. And so does Santa Claus smoke cigarettes? What happens when he gets ashes in his beard? Does he catch on fire? You know, I mean, all these.
Curiosity.
So that, and I've recorded my son's voices as well. So there's little cassette tapes that they can't play on anything. Not true, because
That's
there's
so sweet.
players out there. But
Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're worth saving because I go to a museum where the first recording of Thomas Alva Edison on that recorder is at Henry Ford Museum down here in Detroit.
Wow.
It's
That's
actually
amazing.
in the village. It's in his workshop. I love this place. It's not like it was when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, it was unpaved roads and you went there just like you did in the mid 1800s. But Henry Ford had a vision, Sr. had a vision, and he started buying up properties from all over the world and bringing them here and putting together this village. And I don't know that he was the forerunner to old villages, functioning villages, like, you know, going through Pennsylvania and all the places that you see there. But it definitely happened at an early time where it wasn't the norm to be able to go and watch a blacksmithy work and buy a nail and glass blowing the old way, not the fancy stuff is all you can buy now, but to be able to buy a piece of a window.
Yeah.
There's a castle, they call it the castle. It's not really a castle, but it was taken apart stone by stone and put back together exactly like it was in England. Cotswold Cottage is what it's called.
Oh,
That's
beautiful.
where it came from. And it's beautiful. It's the glass has those dimples in it from, you know, where it was cut off to be a flat sheet.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's just amazing place.
Yeah.
And because it's so popular now and there's such a population down in that area and people come from all over to come here for, you know, casinos and everything else. It they've had to pave it, and I understand that because oiling the roads don't keep the dust down for very long. And it just got to the point where the dirt was so downtrodden that they had to pour cement on it in order to keep it working, you know?
Sure.
Otherwise, it would just disintegrate. And you can't go upstairs in some of the buildings. But Menlo Park, the workshop from Menlo Park, which is Edison's, is in this place. And the day that Henry Ford opened it up, those two were good friends. And Henry had everything brought. here from Menlo Park, all the bottles. And if he didn't have the right bottles, he went and found ones that were exactly like it. And he put it all back together. And the day he opened it up, Thomas Edison was with him. And he sat down in a chair and he said, "Well, Henry, everything is like 99 and 99% right. Not quite 100%, right?"
Yeah.
And Henry looked at him and he said, "There's no dust." Because Thomas said to Henry, "There's no dust." Because everything was covered with dust. They were dirt roads. And Henry took that chair and nailed it to the floor right where it was when he pushed back from the work table. And that's where it still sits. And Thomas died a couple months later, no more than a couple months later. Sure.
Bless them. Yeah. Teresa Ford says, who hasn't put out the call to bring home milk using telepathy before phones were a thing?
Yep.
Yeah. I just, I mean, I really want to go up there to Detroit. I haven't been up there. And I'm always looking at land, you guys.
Yes.
On Zillow, that's like my little thing that I can get lost for an hour on my computer and look at land in Michigan, because I feel like the Great Lakes is, water. Water is gold in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm tying you up in a bow. I'm pulling those silver threads.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I was looking this morning, but I gotta say, I'm also looking at Tacoma.
Well, that's another place I could join you there. You never know.
Right?
My kids are going to tell me where I go next. So,
yeah. Leah, I love this. Alexander the Great used to astral travel. Wow. Well, that makes so much sense. I mean, that's just a huge, because it's really evident, isn't it? He was so talented. I mean, he was all over.
And they had edibles before they were invented too,
Oh, no doubt.
Right?
Well,
things that we can no longer just go,
yeah.
I'm the man who manufactures.
The Ottoman Empire, that was truly amazing. Warrior Girl says, I cannot stress enough that AI was named incorrectly by a silly human. It's actually quantum. Yeah, intelligence goes hand in hand with universal intelligence. Oh, I love that, because I really feel like eventually AI is going to have some sort of an intelligence.
Well,
it's consciousness, not like it'll be different, but everything has consciousness. Water, air, fish.
And,
why wouldn't it?
The stuff that makes the plastic and the wires, those are intelligent minerals. It's petroleum that makes plastic. So it has a retention of a vibration from when it was in the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at this, would this actually be one of those dual polarity moments? Is it going to be smart enough to detect when it's a lie and not put it out there? If we go back and reread 1984, or think of the movie 2001, I cannot do that here. I cannot do that, Harold.
Yeah. We hold these truths near. Love that, Leah. Yeah. Wiki. I mean, last night was amazing. Let's see. The quicker everyone releases the fear, false evidence appearing real. Oh, like that. I want to keep that one.
Okay, I'm writing it down right now.
Right? You write it down and email it to me.
Okay.
Text it to me. Surrounding us, the craziness of the world will subside. Exactly. Because you cannot have fear in your brain and curiosity at the same time. They don't work.
Exactly. They cannot occupy the same space.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. Hey, Brenda. Um, we had basically that experience in Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. Yes, I have been there many times. And that is a beautiful area down there in
Mhm.
Arkansas. And Arkansas has so much spirituality in it. Um, even though that's in Branson, it's like right next to Arkansas, and a beautiful lake down there, crystal clear waters, and man, yeah, just beautiful. Um, Universal laws. How can we align our frequency to the frequency of abundance? Oh, Tony, what a great question.
Hmm.
Well, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, speaking of the law of polarity, to have abundance, you have to know, um, not what am I scarcity. And then you balance that. Like, do you live in scarcity, which, probably a lot of us when we were growing up, our parents were either in the depression or the wars or whatever, and things were slim, and so you're kind of raised with it. So coming out of that and living in abundance, that's a big deal.
Mhm.
Do I deserve that? I think the best way to live in abundance, the frequency of abundance, is to recognize that we are all divine beings and there's no reason why we shouldn't have it. And that's why so many narcissists are wealthy. Why shouldn't they have it? They should have everything. We should all have everything. So knowing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it is accentuating the positive, right? And
Yeah.
staying in a thought that is, well, look at what I do have. I could be without this. First, define abundance. When have you crossed the line and it's too much?
Yeah. That's another interesting thing that I've read about recently is that defining abundance. Like, instead of asking for to win the lottery, like to be specific. And the universe likes for you to, that energy is very specific. When you ask and the more specific it is, the easier it is to get. But I need, $2,000 to fix my automobile, or 20,000 for a new car or something, or whatever they are now, 50. So it's crazy talk. But so so being very specific about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because then it's goal setting. And that stress of not having it is released by attaining the goal.
Yeah.
Brings us to baby steps,
Yeah.
right? Because that's how we attain everything. We don't run the first day we are able to stand up. We fall down a few more times. We crawl.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We crawl. And I think the other thing is walking into that space, and there's that space, and this is gonna sound weird, but between duality, that non-duality. And when you walk into that space between poverty and abundance, or between good and bad, or between um, health and unhealthy, when you walk into it and you just know that it's yours. And that's kind of what we're going for with 5D, I feel like, is we're gonna be walking into that space and knowing it, and owning it.
And doesn't it feel like you're floating when you're there?
Yeah, yeah. And I was listening to Kim and the 2 of you talk about this a while back too, and she said that, since we're on a 3D planet, it might take a hot minute. But
And there was just an orb, and then another one followed behind it as you were saying hot minute. So there you go. That's conviction to me. You were right.
it figures. My hot minute orbs. Yeah. Oh, I love this. Hi, Tony. We must choose what vibrates with us. Yeah. Right, Leah? Yeah. Yeah. Before cell phones, I could drop off my sons at the mall and they would find me without calling because I would send them a subliminal thought. Yeah. And I can tell, like, if somebody doesn't meet me on a call or something or a show or whatnot, I can usually find out what's going on, especially the more we get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. There's some really good ones coming in here, you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm probably missing a few. It, creation is why we're here to create. Yeah. To give it away. Yep.
Yep. It doesn't matter. Make it, leave it on the street. Somebody will take it home eventually, or it'll go back to nature, and nature will make use of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little critter, a mouse will drag home a piece of plastic and build a wall with it,
Yeah.
retainer wall for the straw and the water to hold it back while it sleeps under the rest of the straw.
Yeah. Yeah. That Christ Buddha consciousness path or, it's like that middle path. Yeah. Pure awareness.
Oh, balance brings us back to balance. Exactly. And balance is attained with focus, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Whoops. I got that. And then let me see this. If you were absolutely alone and had a need, could you figure out how to create it? I say yes, because knowing what you needed was the first step. God created what was needed or desired, co creation. Yeah. And I love that you said that, Kimberly, because I do feel like we are all many creators and we are divine. I mean, we are a mirror of divinity, of that beautiful light. We are all one, connected. And once we start recognizing that we don't have to ask, please, can I have this? I mean, that you want to be polite, but request, because it is our right. And that brings me back to that narcissist. A narcissist knows that it's their right. So they are really experiencing that in this
Yeah.
lifetime. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
And that word, narcissist, it's really a hard one to swallow when we are talking about with this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we know that there is that total detachment from everything outside of what they want now. It isn't about the future and it isn't about the past. It's detached from everything except now. But it is not feeling positive to the rest of us,
Yeah.
right? Because it usually leaves behind damage. And we can do that without leaving behind damage, because follow ye the rule of three and do ye no harm.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Staying in the present, which is itself a present, right? Yeah, I feel like, sometimes we look at what other people do that is successful. And even though their intent may not be, and as empaths, so many of us look at how it will affect others. Um, and do try to do things for the collective. And and so they talk about, when the power of 5D sets in, that we are working for the collective. It's not a self working for self any longer. Or I don't know if working is the right word, but there's, there's another word for that. I can't remember what it is. But actually working for the collective is working for self in the purest form. So it's non-duality, duality, duality, non-duality.
Duality without attachment,
Yeah.
with no absolute. That's a better way to put it. With no absolute. Duality without an absolute.
Yeah.
Which brings us to that. Remember in the beginning, one of the charts that I had found in deep diving was, where did I go? It was the 5 spiritual dimensions. So this duality brings us back to the two dots, 2 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
The pole is between there. Where does one end and the other begin? Brings us back to left turn, right turn. You can't, you don't differentiate. You're headed to a point.
Yeah.
Me and my arrow. Remember the point? Harry Nielsen. It's a good little story. You can still find it on YouTube if nobody knows what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't think I do.
Ah, the point. He's got an arrow on his head.
Oh, I love it.
I think. I haven't watched it for a while.
Hmm.
Just a little ditty for thought fodder.
Yeah.
Considering that came out, let's see, had to be in the 70s because I was living in Colorado.
Wow. Yeah.
Before the Eisenhower Tunnel existed. They were building it while I was up there.
Wow. Yeah. Right? Don't take anything. They cannot be pleased. If we are all sparks of God, then you're me and I am you. So working for you is working for me, right? Yes, Teresa. Yeah.
I am the walrus.
Yeah. Boundary givers need limits. Takers don't know limits.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I love that, Leah. Limits. Yeah. One of the teachings of the Buddha is not to be attached to anything. Right. Yeah. The law of detachment. Yeah. Because, and that's the other thing about manifesting is, you know, for the good of all concerned, most beneficial outcome, however you want to put it. But yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy with what I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need. Another fine rock and roll band, the Rolling Stones.
Oh my God, right? Yeah. Carolyn, of course, Harry was a friend of hers. He asked me what my favorite song was he wrote, and I said, Me and My Arrow.
Oh,
Carolyn.
I have every song he ever wrote. I have a playlist of Harry Nielsen Day.
Oh, is he the lime and the coconut guy?
No, that's
Okay.
What's his face? Parrot Head. Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lime and the Coconut. No, that's not Jimmy
The
Buffett.
lime and the coconut. Drink it all down. Yeah, I loved.
God, who did that?
I can't remember.
Carolyn? Did Harry do that?
Wiki says yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I guess it's on that list. Obviously, I haven't played it for a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I love that. Yeah, we had so yeah, so being non-dualistic is all about unconditional love and to be one with everything and completely connected.
Mm-hmm.
And dualism believes the world is real. Non-dualism believes the world is an illusion. The underlying, the multiplicity and diversity of the experience is the single, infinite, and indivisible reality. Nature is pure consciousness.
Yeah.
Said in words that are non-Terry. But I liked them. I thought they were really nice. Question, how would you feel if you had it? Ooh, Leah. I think we would feel like we do in between. We are already there. When we are on this planet, we're not aware that we're there. but we are. There is a part of us that is always there, Leah, that divine spark. So we just have to connect to it.
Right. And
Yeah.
that becomes the choice for those who do not.
Right. And there are plenty of people on this planet right now that will not decide to do it. And there's no judgment. That is the expression that they are living right now and the experience.
Yeah, and that's and standing in a place of no judgment, that in itself can be a bit of a conundrum now, can't it?
Well, yeah, when you're here, for sure.
Right? Because I don't want to do that. Discernment and judgment, I guess, are two different things. But when we see how another person behaves and we do not want to do that, we are judging that behavior as
Mhm.
the ultimate negative.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So long as we don't dwell on it, or so long as we walk away from it, right? And don't copy it ourselves.
Yeah. Um, and be curious about it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a huge step when you see something happening. Like, we see 45, and, we think, "Okay, well, this is quite interesting that he can be such a narcissist, that he can do this," and he does run full throttle without looking left or right about thinking of consequences or who you're gonna hurt or who's gonna live better because of this. It's just and there
It's
is something maniacal about it, but it is quite interesting to watch.
and it so one of the laws, period, is sometimes the only way out of it is to go through it. And that's the only way you can go through it is full throttle.
Yeah.
This is another thing you learn on a motorcycle. You know, there are times where even if you know you're going to lay it down, you still have to go through it to get to the other side to lay it down or whatever's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Same with the boat.
Right. The only
Yeah.
way out
Gotta
is,
bring it up to plane and
yep,
take off.
because you have to ride. And that can be a good thing. He could have been a contender.
Yeah. But
He got
maybe
things. Yeah.
maybe it was the chaos that we needed.
Well,
Not as much as not to say he didn't overplay his hand, but
yeah. I don't want to do this again, but I have a funny feeling I'm supposed to return.
huh?
Dream the other night that I had a dream the other night and the night before the one yesterday. And I kept looking. I was in this white space. And there was a guy painting, and the windows were beautiful, and there was all kinds of light pouring in. And this guy was getting this house ready for new renters. And it was like my house. Well, this is the trouble with tribbles, because this was a tribble, but he wasn't brown, he was green. I mean, gray. And my dogs were with me. Gloria would wander around, and I kept losing Grizzly because Grizzly kept looking for him, and he kept popping all over the place. And every time I would find Grizzly, I'd end up back at these stucco walls, and I couldn't find the door. And then when I'd find the door, I'd find the guy. And the guy would say, well, what about carpeting? Should I replace the carpeting? You know, and things of this nature are going on. And because I couldn't find the way out, I just woke up thinking, well, that means you're coming back for another life. You're not done. You have to come back to Earth again.
Teresa says, I don't really understand how my liver works. I know it's dark in there and there are bitter liquids. My consciousness doesn't understand, but I'm thankful for my liver. I love that.
Love it. Me too.
I am thankful for your liver too.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything pays a visit to your liver.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
hard-working organ.
It is a hardworking organ. Yeah. So I feel like this law of polarity and non-duality are just, it's all about the law of one, isn't it?
It is, and this is why I guess I'm just an astrologer, but this is why your blueprint is so important in understanding that. Because when you understand the energies in your chart, you really understand how to work with yourself.
Yeah.
You may not be able to keep yourself from falling into the trap, but you certainly can find the way out, the way past it, so you can get over it on your own.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we can see how many people have used these laws, universal laws and truths, to make things better for the world, and how many have used them for their own benefit and not benefiting other people. Like some people in our government and some of the billionaires out there, right?
A few of them.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe all of them, because they're only 1% of the population.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. Continuing to pray for peace. Definitely, Tony. But then that does show us that polarity of what can be done for good too.
Exactly. It does. And so the pitfalls that come with the aspects and the traveling planets above us are the challenges of everyday life. Setting goals and trying to attain them. The near planets being our everyday, and the far out planets being the goal setter. And if you don't reach the goal, this or something better, you didn't reach that goal, but this was better because this was as far as you got. And look, as long as you keep yourself in that positive outlook on what this is, how do you work with this, how do you sidestep this, all of it, whether it's the duality of this or in your blueprint, but it's just, to me, it's always amazing how it can always come back to that, because it always comes back to a mathematical answer.
Yeah.
And astrology is math.
Consciousness is, math. They say quantum physics is science. It's
Times continuum.
math. Yeah.
It's
all,
math.
yeah.
And it's an orb. It's not linear.
Yeah. And don't get started on the wormholes yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have all been here before. We could sing songs all day on this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to get it right before your second Saturn return, Leah says.
There you go. There you go. Well, second Saturn return, you're going to have a little trouble because that's puberty. Because it really goes in 7-year increments. But it comes back to the birth after 4, at the 4th one.
Yeah, I love that. Annie says you're right about whales coming from the stars.
They do.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I was last night. Every time I woke up, I could see the stars above my bed. And I was just like, okay, floating in my bed.
I did not get to Cooperstown either because of the way things drew to a close for my own personal dream.
Yeah.
Which there's a whole bunch of lessons in there for all of us, which hopefully there'll be time next week for me to go over that while we're in our show.
That sounds great. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for being here. And it's already at the hour, so a little bit over. So we'll get rolling. But do you have big plans this weekend, young lady? What are you doing?
No, actually, I don't, because I have one reading down in the city, but I don't know what day it is. And I'm beyond the point of going out for New Year's Eve. And the next time I'm having family is for the Epiphany because we do little Christmas.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
But next week I'll go do some visiting and go out to lunch and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. All right, everybody. Well, have a great weekend and come back tomorrow. I can't remember who's on, but I know that somebody is.
I know I said notify me a couple of times, so
I know. Oh,
everybody.
Dr. Gail's going to be on this weekend, and so is JJ. Two Tall
Um,
Speaks. Oh, I know
together
who's on tomorrow.
or
Yeah.
with you.
I'm going to be on Dr. Gal's, but we'll simulcast, and I'm going to be on JJ's too, but we'll simulcast.
Okay.
And Allie, Heart and Soul Connected, we're doing archetypes and oracles
I
tomorrow.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh, and JJ is tomorrow too. So,
Okay.
all right, everybody, have a great day. Namaste.
Happy New Year.